Man, so next I want to touch on the corners. And I don't think I've ever said this at all. We actually got some good corners. Bro, we got some good corners, bro. It's been forever since I could be able to say this. I remember dudes being toasted, roasted, and just laughed at, bro, for the longest by anybody, by whoever. Like it's garbage. But like last year was really terrible. Like in 22, going to the Super Bowl, you had Slay on one side, Bradbury on the other side. Great. I know this is the same group we had last year, but we definitely saw Bradbury fall off that cliff. I mean, you go from all pro to what the hell? Like it was really crazy, bro. It was wild. I definitely think he's cooked. Nothing against him. I just don't think that his game is at the level where you need it as for a starting corner, and that's obvious from him. Obviously, not even playing corner anymore. He's been moved to safety. But last year that was where we lacked a lot. Um, Kalen, where was the stat you were talking about with the DBs and the penalties last year? I'm gonna say it was like
Yeah. So in 2022, the DBs accounted for about just one in every fifth penalty, but last year it was about 36% of the team's penalties came from the
sheesh.
defensive backs, and um, top five penalized group and excuse me, they were top five penalized for defensive pass interference. But in 2022, only one team was penalized less than the Eagles for pass interference. So yeah, definitely not locked in from the
At
defensive back.
all.
Yeah, and then also one more is 30% of the penalties the Eagles had came on third downs. Uh, Pretty bad.
Motor chains. Yeah, man. I'm like you said, 30 what percent on third down?
30% of the team's penalties
30%.
came on third downs.
So a third of the time we're getting penalties. They coming on third down. On crucial downs where we can get off the field. We're getting off the field, all of a sudden now the offense gets the ball. But no, we get to allow them to continue their drives. That's it's crazy. I mean, because you said we were basically the second least in penalties in 22 whenever it came to our DBs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then last year was a bunch of grabbing.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of it was a bunch of out of place. Like I got to make something happen. It's better than them scoring a touchdown. Like what is going on, bro? Like, and I think Bradbury is one of those grabbers. Don't forget how I'm not gonna blame the Super Bowl loss on Bradbury, but he did not help us towards the end. Mister, I'm gonna grab Juju Smith-Schuster because he just got me on this little in and out, and then now they got to convert to once again on third down. On third down, when we can get off the field, lead them to a field goal, have a chance where we still got a couple of our timeouts, and over a minute left in the game. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know. Besides Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if there's any other quarterback that's more clutch than Jalen Hurts. There were so many close games that we had last year where Jalen was able to pull those out. This was like before we went on that slide towards the negatives, but pulling out those games where we were losing to Buffalo, to Patrick Mahomes and them, just to whoever, bro. I want to say even like the Cowboys, but it was a lot of games. It was a lot of games. But Jalen is clutch. So in that Super Bowl when Bradbury grabbed, and it's just like, oh, bro. Basically, we gave the offense no time to do anything. And I think that was just the start of what Bradbury was going to look like the next year. Like, because we said 36% of our penalties came from the DBs, you know. So I'm like that's wild, you know. So like, I think that was a lot of grabbing, a lot of out of position, a lot of I don't really know what I'm doing, and I think a lot of that had to do with the DCs that we had in at the time. But now with Vic, I think that the DBs are just kind of set up in a better place. And shout out to Howie because my man had that ski mask on all offseason. He was robbing them. How we end up with the two of the top four corners in the draft, getting the number one guy, and also getting Cooper DeJean, who I think kind of fell a little bit due to his injury. So we end up with two guys who will probably both be our starters. Maybe not this season, but next season for sure. We're gonna have two starters right there. So it's like how we being able to do that. How we also got Isaiah Rodgers after he was sitting there, he got in trouble for gambling. Excuse me. And when you get cut from a team, you go through what's called waivers. So it's like all 32 teams. Well, I'm sorry, I guess all 31 teams that are left after one team cuts them. All 31 teams has a chance to grab that person. You know, if the person in the waiver wire ahead of them decides not to grab them, you didn't have a chance. Then the next team, then the next team, he went through all of those teams. Nobody decided to grab him, but the Eagles reach out to his agent and then decide to go, hey, we're going to bring you in on the team. Obviously, you're suspended for a year, so you can't actually interact with the team. You can't be here on the facilities, like anything like that, but you are a part of the team. He goes all off season and he sets up a schedule to mimic the same schedule he was doing back when he played with the Colts. It's like, okay, on these days, I'm working on this. On these days, I'm working on this. On these days, we're doing film. On these days, I lift. On these days I rest. Whatever, the same thing that they were doing in the league, he was doing. So that way he could be prepared. And the sentiment that's been going around all offseason is he does not look like he's been out for a year. That's not what he looks like. He's been balling. Bro's been doing his thing. And so once again, how we doing his thing when it comes to the corners? We have not had this type of depth whenever it came in the corner, and I don't know how long. I remember, and shout out to Jalen Mills still being in the league and kind of doing his thing or whatnot. Gotten a couple contracts, but Jalen Mills early on, he was part of that Super Bowl team in 2017, but early on it was just like it's like Rasul Douglas also had a great career after he left with us. But when we had him and Jim Schwartz had us running man and Rasul Douglas not being a great man corner was getting toasted, roasted, and burnt. That's just what it was. You know, we also drafted Sidney Jones after being hurt and then grabbing him in the second round thinking, oh, we got to steal. No, he stole from us. You know what I mean? It's like, and then also, I still remember whenever we had Nnamdi Asomugha taking him from the taking him from the Raiders, thinking, okay, baby, he bought the ball. He was part of that dream team. Shout out to Vince Young, sorry ass. But yeah, bro, like he was part of that team. It came in and stole money, was stealing money with the best of them. I remember Maxwell that we grabbed from the Seahawks. He was on the other side of Richard Sherman doing his thing, and they little cover three over there, helping them win Super Bowls. Came to us. Obviously, we're not using them the same way. It had to be something like that. Very much like the Namdi situation. Now he's stealing money. It's like, what are we doing? I remember we brought in Orlando Scandrick just a little bit a few years back, bro. Came in. He had to be the ops, bro. Like, obviously, he used to play for Dallas. But in that Dallas game, bro, he was giving a booty. He didn't care about nothing. He was just going to let us do whatever. Or my bad, he was just going to let them do whatever. So it's like I've seen us have bad corners year after
Nnamdi
year.
also was an all-pro corner with the Raiders every year. As soon as he went to the Eagles, he was out of the league like 2 years later.
Bro, what? Bro made Kerry Washington. Right, bro, thank you. Yes. He made Kerry Washington said, I'm good, bro. Like, we good now. Hey, but I did get that check. Like, them checks still coming through.
Oh,
I got X amount guaranteed. Shoot. I mean, hey, if it go left, it go left. Like, you still got that scandal money, right? All right, man, we good. We good. So it's like, bro, robbing us, bro. All pro, all them years is wild. I didn't even know that. That just, I think the only corner we had that we had brought in from somewhere else that was like balling, Asante Samuels. Bro was a dog. He was a dog. Shout out to Asante, bro. And a shout out to his son. I hope he does well over there with the Chargers, I think it is. But the corner position has been it's been one that has kind of disappointed us year after year. Howie, for some reason, would not draft corners in the first round. So it's always like second round, third round corners, people he hoping could do it, or people who was, like I said, signing. Like, okay, well, we see that they can be good, so let's bring them in over here and not utilize them the way that they were being used at the last place. So it was refreshing to see him draft two corners, sign Isaiah Rodgers, giving him a chance, and him coming in and actually absolutely being great. And then us having Darius Slay. My bad, I'm talking about people who came in from other teams. Like Slay, my bad. He likes to go by Slay, so we're gonna call him Slay. So Slay's been balling since we got him. Essentially, been a Pro Bowler every year we've had him. Shout out to Slay. I don't expect Slay to be top 5 corner like that lockdown guy. I mean, he's one of the oldest corners in the league still, but he's still efficient. He still claims to be one of the fastest. My bad. He claims to be the fastest guy on the team. I actually think Isaiah Rodgers is that guy. But either way, it's like the fact that he thinks that he moves that quickly still is a great thing for us. So I think having a guy like that who at this point we don't actually need him to travel because of the depth that we have at corner, because of how great Quinyon Mitchell has been since he's came in. Also, we have Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox has been our starting nickel corner, and like we mentioned earlier, that nickel corner position is going to be a starting position. About 70, 80% of the time, we're going to have nickel spots out there. Now, granted, I'm not sure if I don't think Avonte is actually going to be the starter in nickel, but the fact that he's not the starter and he has been our starter all these years, like to me, that just talks to us about how great our corners are. I think our backup corners last year were Eli Ricks, Josh Jobe, Mario Goodrich. You know what I mean? Like, who are these guys? They were all actually undrafted. All undrafted guys were our backups. That's what it was that we were doing. You know what I mean? It was like we ended up having Avonte Maddox get hurt. We also had I'm drawing a blank. Kevin on the other
Bradley Roby.
That was from our 2017 team. Dang it. What was his name? Hold on real quick. Ooh. I don't think he's actually on here because he didn't get any plays because he got hurt during the preseason. So I don't think he was on there with our plays or whatnot. But he went to Texas Tech. Zach McPherson. Here we go. Zach McPherson was also one of our nickel corners. He was supposed to be backing up Avonte last year. He gets hurt in the preseason, so he misses the whole year. It was either his Achilles or his ACL, something like that, but he's out the whole year. Avonte gets hurt at some point during the season. Now we're down to throwing Eli Ricks in there and nickel, who's a long kind of nickel. I'm like, bro, he looks like an outside corner. I don't think he plays nickel on a normal. And sometimes he looked like he did not play nickel on a normal. Like, that's what it looked like. So it was like having the depth that we have now, I think is a game changer, man, because you have Rodgers and also Keely Ringo, who Keely is now in his year 2. Last year he was drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was the 4th round. But Keely was one of the starting corners on that Georgia defense that won the national championship. Matter of fact, he got an interception in the college playoff. Like, he extremely athletic, very big, very fast, like prototypical size. But he's very handsy. He likes to grab leads to 36% of our flags. You know what I mean? It's like that. That's how he is. But he has a really great upside. But we're gonna wait and see if that actually leads to the success that we want. And he's been competing with Rodgers, like I said, with that outside corner spot. I actually think outside of Slay, Quinyon is our best corner outside of Slay for sure. I think Q has been working in the slot so much because Vic has mentioned, once again, 70 to 85% of the time you're going to be a nickel or dime or whatever. He wants to get the best group of corners out there that he can get. And Ringo and Rodgers, not great in the slot. Rodgers is only about 5'10". He didn't play in the slot for the Colts. It was like, so you can't just pencil him in there because that's the body build. It looks like he can be a nickel, but that's not what he does. He's the outside corner. And then Ringo for sure can't play the slot. Boy, hips stiffer than oatmeal. He fast, bro, and he long, he athletic, but nah, the boy got stiff hips. That's why he ended up getting the grabbing. But so he definitely not playing nickel. But Q can do it all. Outside, inside, whatever you need, nickel, dime, whatever, coach. I got you. Outside guy, you need me to travel. You want me to press, you want me to play off man, whatever, I can do it. And he can do it. And sitting there going up against AJ, Smitty, you know what I mean? Like all camp, bro. And he's hard on himself. He hates when he gets beat. He's asking questions. He's figuring out what could I have done different. Talking to the receivers, hey, what made you do this? Or, how'd you do this? How is it best for me to play this whenever you decide you're about to do this? The dude is a student and he's trying to be great. And I love that. And then Brenton Covey just mentioned in one of his interviews, Brenton Covey is one of our slot receivers. And then mainly our punt returner. Hey, shout out to Brent. But he was mentioning that what he likes about Q is AJ Brown might beat him, let's say three straight plays or whatever. On that fourth play when he locks up AJ, he gonna let AJ know. It's like, and that's exactly what you need to be as a corner. I don't want my corners out there getting beat, and then it's a super bad pass, and he over there, yeah, lock you up, all of that. Like he not that type of guy, but he is the type to where it's like, okay, yeah, you got me, but bump all that. Next play, what's up? What you gonna do on this one? You know what I mean? It's like he gonna talk his trash whenever he do his thing. So as a corner, you gotta have that mindset to where it's next play mentality. Because if you notice where the contracts are and wherever the money is going as a league, then that lets you know how important that position is. And these wide receivers getting paid. AJ over 30 million. 30 million a year? Wide receiver? That's crazy. But that's what they're doing now. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to expect him to get beat from time to time. Like, I mean, AJ, top 5 paid receiver in the league. I'm expecting him to beat Q. If you're not beating this rookie at all at any point, then why we paying you like that? You know what I mean? It's like he's supposed to be making Q better, and I think he is. And also him guarding Smitty. Hey, Smitty got the moves. So if you can guard Smitty in the slot, guard him on the outside, man, it's just gonna make you better. So, I went on a little tangent, but the reason why I'm bringing all of that up is Q can do both. And so Q is actually going to end up being the best nickel option that we have. So it looks like Q is actually the starting corner outside of Slay. And then whenever we bump to nickel, bump to dime, Q was moving to the middle to play that nickel spot or to play one of those dime spots. And then now they're bringing in Rogers or Ringo who are competing for that other spot outside of Slay on the outside. It looks like Rogers is winning that. Ringo has had some flashes. He's played well, but he's also had moments where you can see, it's being reported that, okay, he grabbed on this play. It would have been a flag. Or he was beat on this play, like, oh, touchdown, whatever. But it's like he's had his moments where he's been able to use his speed to, let's say he was beat a little bit to come back, deflect the ball, whatever. Like he has his upsides, but to me, it's too much of this. Too much of a roller coaster for me to want him to be one of the starting outside guys. I think Rodgers will be a little bit more solidified there. Granted, Rodgers is only on a 1-year deal right now, so it's like we don't know what the future holds, But either way, this year I think he's the best person to be outside if we are going to move Q into the nickel spot. And then, so now we're looking at Slay, Q, and Rodgers. And now our backups are Avante Maddox, who's been starting for us for years. Also, Ringo, having both of those guys as backups, and not to mention Cooper DeJean. You got 3 backups that honestly could start for other teams. And then these 3 backups, in comparison to the names that I just named earlier, where our backups were last year, where it's like, but night and day. It's night and day. Like this is the best collective I've seen at the corner spot, and I don't know how long, man. It's really exciting to see. And I think just some of the last times we had great corners were the times where we were in the Super Bowl. So just like we were talking about with the linebackers and with the safeties, it's like when our defense is good, we should be getting to the Super Bowl. It seems like we're going to always have a really great offense for the most part, especially with the pieces we got right now. But the defense is what needs to be solidified for us to truly be great. And that corner play that we have, and hey, knock on wood, we don't want Slay to, get old on us all of a sudden, and then he looking like Bradbury. You're like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So that's not at all what we want, But if that even does happen, man, I'm still kind of excited, and more so not even the fall off, but let's say if Slay get hurt, I mean, just being older, you never know, bro. Soft tissue injuries, things like that. The players that we can slide in now, like moving Q to the outside and letting Cooper DeJean or Maddox come in and play the nickel now. What? Like that sounds a lot better than what we were doing last year when Eli Ricks and Josh Jobe and Mario Goodrich and all these guys had to come in, and you're like, wait, who is that? Wait, who's number 40 something in there playing? Like who's this guy? 37? What kind of number is that? When you get the numbers like that, bro, like you one of those dudes where it's like, Oh, hey, take this one. You know what I mean, bro? I didn't choose that number, bro. No in the world, no one chooses those numbers. You got tossed that jersey. You know what I mean? So any guys getting tossed a jersey, that's not necessarily who I want out there on Sundays, bro. I just don't want you out there. No offense, but I don't think that's going to be the issue this year. So I am super excited. These corners are going to be great. I haven't talked a lot about Cooper, but a lot of that is because he missed about 3 weeks of training camp, just being hurt. He had an injury like right after not OTAs, but what's I'm drawing a blank, Caleb. What's after OTAs normally? Mini camp. After mini camp or whatnot, when they were just kind of training out on their own for a few weeks, he had a little injury, so he had missed the first 3 weeks. But he looks like he's back in full go. I'm hoping we can see him in his third preseason game this week. That'll be really exciting. But for the most part, they've been playing him just at nickel and at outside corner. So just kind of focusing there. I think a lot of people just assumed that he was going to be playing safety. I think a lot of that, honest, if we're being honest, is because he's a white DB. It was like, that probably put him at safety too. I mean, dude's athleticism was it was off the charts. He tested very well. I know he was coming off an injury or whatnot, but he tested very well in the 40, in the shuttle time, and all these other things or whatnot. So I think he is actually going to be pretty good. So I can't wait to see him, so that way we can kind of evaluate it a little bit more. But of course, we haven't been able to see him in game just yet. But yeah, that corner position, man, it's gonna be one that's gonna be happy to watch. Very excited. Um, Lastly, we got to talk about these safeties. Like I mentioned earlier, we're talking about linebacker and safety. Really good 2017, really good 2022. We in the Super Bowl both those years. Like I mentioned, I know Howie realized he kind of punted on them positions last year. We had coming into the starting linebackers last year was Reed Blankenship, and shout out to Reed. I like Reed. Like I said, we tried to get CJ. The contract situation went a little left. You know, that was what it was, which made us pivot and go get Bradbury. It was just a domino effect that really, really messed us over, you know. So, but last year we had Reed, and then we signed Buddy from the Steelers. His twin brother played for the Bills, but his brother got drafted. I'm not drafted. He signed with the Bears. Edmonds, thank you. Terrell Edmonds. Terrell Edmonds was our safety. Garbage. Garbage. We ended up trading Buddy over there to Tennessee to get Bird. So or Kevin Byard, excuse me. Yeah, so trading over there to get Kevin Byard, basically a swap, and I think a pick is what we sent over or whatnot. And Byard was cooked. So it was like what he was doing over there in Tennessee for all those years. He was Pro Bowler. I think he even had an All Pro year, maybe two. That wasn't the same guy we were getting. I mean, DBs don't normally get better as they get older, especially as you get closer to 30. Once you pass 30, they just don't normally get better because the receivers keep coming in faster, taller, stronger, quicker. Like, and so as you continuing to get older, it just it's just not a great look. And then he ended up signing with somebody else this year, so I don't think he's done. But it wasn't a. He basically had a DC in Tennessee. He had another DC whenever he got here, and then halfway through the season, he gets a third DC. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a lot of different learning curves that you have. And then Hassan Reddick mentioned this at one point last year, where he was like, no one was really saying it out loud, but in the interview he had mentioned, he said it's hard. It's like we was learning one thing, now we're doing something different, and now we're doing this. And then it was reported that Matt Patricia was not able to make any changes to the defense that he inherited from Sean Desai. So now you got a guy calling the defense that he didn't even create and he can't make changes to. And you could tell guys were open. Like miscommunications. You could see it all towards the end of the year last year. It was terrible. The playoff game was the worst. Baker Mayfield was looking like on John Elway, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, whoever you want to name. Patrick Mahomes himself. That is what he was looking like against us in the playoffs. And it was like, what do? Everybody's open. Nobody's being covered. Somebody's flaring out to the side. Oh, was that my guy? Was that your guy? Like, you could just see the confusion out there, and it was terrible. And so I don't 100% blame Byard, but I also don't think he was the same guy that we thought we were getting whenever we traded for him. First off, Terrell Edmonds was a really bad signing in comparison to what we thought we were going to get with CJ. So it's like moving to Terrell Edmonds was already and you knew that because Howie was like, all right, once again, like I mentioned earlier about him trying to get in Darius Leonard, is like, don't be stuck in your ways. I understand this was your plan initially, but once you realize it's not happening the way you wanted to, let's pivot. And he did. But granted, the pivot wasn't, it was a better move than Terrell Edmonds, but it still wasn't enough to move the needle. Reed still played pretty decently. But also you just never really know because you never know what all the schemes are and this and that. But the corners that we had were whack. So I think that also reflects on the safeties. Also, our pass rush wasn't the best. So we weren't getting as many sacks. We weren't getting as many pressures. So now the DBs are covering longer than expected or whatnot. So, like, it was just so. But now we own it this year. Because last year, Reed was going into his second year. He was already undrafted. He played a little bit in 22. I want to say he started about 4 to 6 games while CJGJ was hurt. But we hadn't seen him start a whole season, so we didn't know what to expect last year. Now Reed is coming into his third year, and he's definitely one of our starters. That was penciled in for sure. We knew he was going to be one of the starters. And I think, like I was mentioning earlier with Nakobe Dean, the mindset that they have, they call him Ghost. I think partly because he's white, but also he's flying around out there. You know what I mean? It's like he's always popping up in areas you're not expecting him to be, and that's because he's instinctual. So it's like the first interception he ever got, I think in the first game that he started was against the Packers, his rookie year. Aaron Rodgers, bro, he baits Aaron Rodgers into a pick. So he was disguising what he was doing, baits him into it, and he makes a huge play and gets an interception. You can even see Aaron Rodgers like, dang, like buddy got me. So like doing that as a undrafted rookie is crazy. So I know the type of dude that we're getting. Like, yeah, he's not the fastest, but like I said, his instincts are gonna always have him in the right spots, I feel. And on top of that, you have CJGJ back. This dude right here is a playmaker. All you're hearing throughout training camp is him being in the right spots, him hitting dudes, him bringing the swagger, like bringing the entertainment, bro, like bringing that dog mentality. Nick's always preaching dog mentality. That is the type of guy he is. What you need in a defense, especially in a city like Philadelphia, are rough riders, bro. Like tough, gritty. Like that's the type of feel that you need. Like places like Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Chicago, Philadelphia. Like those are the type of guys that you're supposed to have. And I think CJGJ is that guy. Like a tremendous talent. Whenever we had him on our team in 22, he led the league in interceptions. It was a tie, but it was 6 interceptions. He missed 6 games. Bro missed 6 games and was tied for the interception lead. Like this is what we're getting. My fear is once again, like I say, he missed 6 games. I don't like that. Last year he only played 2 games. I don't like that. He played 3, but he sat in that third one, which ended up being a playoff game. He ended up getting hurt again. So it was like he didn't really play. But I just think, man, if he can stay healthy, that combination of him and Reed Blankenship is gonna work magic. Not to mention Sidney Brown. Like I wish Sidney Brown would have played a lot more early on instead of throwing out Terrell Edmonds, Justin Evans at safety. How about we see what the rookie got? You know what I mean? Like let's see what he can do. And granted, I remember he got the pick 6 against Arizona Cardinals, bro. He looked amazing. He had a lot of flashes. He had some parts where he was like overexcited to go make plays, and he was end up like missing tackles from time to time. But also, he was a rookie. Give him a chance to make those mistakes because I promise you he's going to do better. So I'm excited to see what Sidney has. Granted, he tore his ACL towards the end of the year, and then it doesn't look like he's been able to be a participant at the practices. Reed was just mentioning in an interview yesterday that Sidney has been taking all the mental reps. Anytime he's asked a question in the uh, in the safeties room or whatnot, like any type of trivia question about what's going on, he always gets it right. He's always getting the mental reps. He's over there working on the side, like that's the type of guy he is. Like he's a dog. Like I don't expect for him to come back and then be like, oh man, like I don't really know what's going on. Like I don't think that's going to be the case at all. It's just a matter of does he have his legs underneath him, and I'm hoping that he will because he's a playmaker himself. So I got a feeling he'll start the season off on the pup list. So I think he'll probably be like take about 4 weeks until we'll be able to see him out there or whatnot. But what's great is Avonte Maddox has been playing a little bit of safety. He just got an interception in the preseason game against the Patriots once, which is cool. So it's like, excuse me. So we know we're still good to go back there with him. Bradbury's been decent back there, but you know how I feel about Bradbury if you ain't told, if you couldn't tell already, you know. So it's like I definitely don't want to see him back there. Um, but having Avonte Maddox who can play it, and then also having Sidney Brown, like I said, who hopefully will be able to come in and get those reps as well. It's like once again we got depth at that position, and the starters are great. So it's like it's a complete 180 from what we saw last year.